Mike Duhame, who's going to win a certain election, he said, against who, and who do you like the least? So I don't think anyone's going to say, I just love the Republican Party, or I just love the Democratic Party. They're going to say, you know, the Democrats, look what they're doing down in Trenton. They're raising taxes. They're not doing any more reforms. They're not doing anything with pension. They're not doing anything with health benefits. They're going to send more unfunded mandates. So eventually what happens, the pendulum is going to start to swing back towards the Republican Party. Probably not for any reason that I did. More likely for what they did and wasn't liked. So you can go out there and say, hey, listen, I think we're right on the ideas. People are pretty sick and tired of politicians, so they're normally going to just react against a politician, not for a politician.
Do you see any developing narrative in the U.S. Senate race?
Oh, absolutely. I would think that Democrats are somewhat concerned that we have a candidate in Bob Eugen that has a lot of money, is willing to spend it, and they have a candidate who, for the last year or two, was under federal criminal indictment. None of that can be good for the Democratic Party. Now, I think that Bob Menendez is so powerful that the Democrats aren't taking any action to try to get him out of the race. They all allegedly support him. I think they have to be a little worried. I understand it's a Democratic state. I understand that people aren't big fans of Donald Trump, but I think that's a real race, and the Democrats down ballot should be somewhat concerned. So it's a real race.
We're here in your office in the 7th District, correct?
Yes.
And do you see the presence of Menendez at the top of the ticket impairing the Democratic chances here in this district?
No doubt about it. I mean, it's pretty simple that if people go to the Republican side of the ballot, they're more likely to stay on the Republican side. We had a year last year where we lost some towns. Part of that was a reaction to Hillary losing, a reaction to an unpopular governor, a reaction to an unpopular president. So they went actually to the other side of the ballot and never came back. If you start to have the pendulum swinging the other way with a candidate who's under criminal indictment, who's been censored by the United States Senate on a bipartisan basis, both Democrats and Republicans, it can help your candidates down ballot. Cannot.
But just to play the devil's advocate here, the leadership of Donald Trump is so arguably schizophrenic that it puts all of you, doesn't it, John, particularly someone like yourself, a man of civility,
Sure.
in an awkward spot at the very least. And how does the Republican Party brand itself in that environment when you have top of the ticket craziness, lunacy, saturating the atmosphere?
I'm a Republican, but that's not my religion. I can not like someone in the Republican Party or the activities of that person or the tweets of that person personally. I'm not going to give up the fact that all Republicans act like Donald Trump does with tweeting. I've said publicly over and over again, I don't like it. I don't think it's good for the party. I think it's disrespectful, and I think it should be stopped. That doesn't mean that the Republican principals and the Republicans in New Jersey accept that activity. I mean, he is not God, and he's not the Pope. So bottom line here is, I, as the Republican leader in the House, are going to make sure that people know we're the party of people like Governor Tom Kean, people who, in my judgment, are respectful, civil, smart, reasonable, and that's why I started rallythereasonable.com. I've had hundreds of people sign up to it. As I said, I don't owe my allegiance to anyone except the people who elect me. So, and there are people come up to me, you said this about Donald Trump. Once again, this is not my religion, okay? I'm not talking about, I don't accept someone's attitude simply or positions just because they're a Republican. Never will, never intend to do it, and that's not why I joined the Republican Party. So I don't want to hear this like, you're not a good Republican if you, under any circumstance, disagree with another Republican. That doesn't mean some of the policies that come out of Washington are good, but let's separate politics from policy.
Michael Patrick Carroll told us last week that he was tired of being irrelevant, or he made the comment that being in the minority in the legislature is the equivalent of impotency, political impotency. What do you say to that?
First, he's really smart. He's a really good friend. I really like him. And he's a libertarian. And I respect his opinion. But you can get tired of being in the minority. Doesn't mean you're irrelevant. Actually, now we become extremely relevant because we're the voice that's standing up against extreme policies of Phil Murphy. I have gotten more press since January of 2018 than I probably did in the last 4 years. And that's because the media and the people want to hear the other side. And I don't see the Democrats in the legislature coming to the aid of Governor Murphy. So we actually have an opportunity to be the voice of the taxpayer. Michael, look, I just think Michael is probably tired of being in the minority. I'm not tired of fighting for the taxpayers. Never will, no matter whether I stay in the minority or we turn the Republicans into the majority. I will never get tired of the fight.
What's the most significant victory you think you can claim in this budget cycle?
Well, I have to give credit to Steve Sweeney here because he probably should sign up for rallythereasonable.com and be part of the discussion. I think that this governor knows that there are enough votes on the Democratic side who are worried about big tax increases and big spending increases with our 26 members that we can stop this governor from the extreme policies. So I think he's going to have to negotiate with the Democrats, knowing that the reasonable Democrats will join us to block excessive taxes and excessive spending.
What's the most egregious example of excessive in this governor's budget?
Well, I think you start with the fact that how can you raise your budget by 8% when the municipalities are at 2%? The last thing you need from New Jersey is more spending. And how are you going to, where are you going to get the money from the spending? You're going to raise more taxes, force more people out of the state? The most egregious thing is the message that people are getting. And here's the message they're getting. We're on the same path we were before Chris Christie, and that is more taxes and more spending. That message is